Yes, good afternoon, everybody. First, I would like to thank all the speakers and for their contributions. It was very interesting. It was a lot of information. So I try to synthesize all this information to have some kind of a concrete narrative or a concrete story of what I've heard today. I would say that there is actually a great potential in the Black Sea to produce offshore renewable energy, and perhaps because it's only on its first steps, it's actually the potential is then greater because there is no other activity in that space or in that territorial area. So it's actually an opportunity. But there are still quite some challenges, as I've heard. There are a lot of multiple interests and stakeholders that might be involved or might not be very happy about the different forms of development. How could investors be motivated? Any activity has on the sea has, of course, a broad territorial impact also on the land. This is something that has to be kept in mind. And the sea is also a very dynamic environment. So if you install any activity in the sea, in a certain way, as Frank Maas today wanted probably to say in his presentation, is that well, activities on the sea should be also dynamic itself, just to be able to be adaptable or taken away easily in case the environment changes. We've also seen a lot of opportunities and good practices that can be very interesting for the future. Basically, they are the multi-use of the same space, so synergies. This was a presentation of Luca of Deltares. So it was a combination of wind farms, offshore wind farms with other activities, which can be other forms of energy production, aquaculture, or even environmental protection or recovery. But of course, there are potentials and risks related to any of these activities. And this is always site dependent, not only on the environmental factors, but also on the actors and stakeholders that are present and the economic activities all around it. In terms of innovation, there was a very interesting presentation from Sven Goethals, which presented the potential of hydrogen gas, which is still in development, but would have the greatest, and I think I'm saying that right, that the biggest advantage of this hydrogen gas knowledge is that it would allow to stock the energy that is produced into hydrogen gas and then afterwards used on land. Of course, there are other advantages, which is the transportation, and would allow, of course, to install wind farms far further from the shore. Well, this in terms of policies and marine spatial planning for Romania and also Bulgaria, is that all these challenges and opportunities, at a certain point, there is a choice that needs to be made. And this can only be done with collecting the right information. And the information, this type of information, is the one that was described by Laurenta Alexandrov and also by ESPON itself. So it's analyzing the costs and benefits of the different potential activities of the different stakeholders' interests, the potential conflicts to be able to mitigate them, and all forms of synergy potentials that are possible. This could then also be connected with the idea of ESPON of developing territorial foresights to have different types of scenarios to be able to make that choice. This is more or less what I've kept in mind, that I will keep in mind for this presentation. And yes, I wanted to share it with you. Thank you everybody for the presentations. I would like to thank all the attendees